This is Allison Carter, and she is currently living in a small cottage on the hills, and today I will be attempting to create a fairy-like cottage for her to live in. So stay tuned to the end to see how it turned out. Now, I have never built a cottage before, so we'll have to see how this turns out. It's something different that I've never done before. Not only that, but if you guys see my face in the corner, I streamed this while also recording it and didn't really think that my camera was still being there, so yeah. Anyways, I did use a reference picture from Pinterest, and here's the house that I was referencing from. I really liked that one specifically because of all the nature that it had around it and the trees and like the flowers. So I try to go off as much as I can of that one just because, again, I never built a cottage, so I didn't exactly know what it would look like. But anyways, you can see that I'm currently working on the structure of the home and seeing how I want the rooms to look. And I was going for I knew at the top I definitely wanted to do something like lofty. Also, do not judge my roofing. I am horrible at roofing. It's so bad. So just don't look at it too much because it's pretty bad. Besides that though, as you can see, I'm doing more roofing. What the actual heck? I'm so bad at roofing. If y'all have tips, please let me know because I even watched videos and I still stink at doing them. But anyways, I started adding the fence around the place because I know I want to do a nice farm, because literally what's the point of having cottage living if you're not going to use the farm extension, you know? Come on. Okay, now I started choosing out the door and what kind of stairs and stuff I was going to be doing. And to be honest, I used a lot of cottage living, and I will be posting this house on the gallery. The only thing is I did use CC in the interiors, so you might have everything there if you play on console, but if you have the packs, then you should definitely have everything else. But majority of the furniture used was CC. But at least you do get the structure of the home, and all the landscape that I used around was, I believe, all base game. If anything wasn't all base game, there is some of the packs used, which was Cottage Living and I believe Get Famous is the two that I use the most in this home, but mainly just Cottage Living. Also the fences, Cottage Living too. I also used Cats and Dogs, which are the two trees that you just saw me put down, and then the rest is mainly just Cottage Living, like I said earlier. And here you can see me starting to add all around the bay window, which actually, I don't usually build bay windows because I find them too hard to do roofing on because, again, we know I am literally
horrible at building roofs.
But yeah, I wanted to make it very whimsical, very cutesy. Anywho, I started moving on to wallpaper and roofing. And then I started doing windows, which the windows are actually really nice in this pack, surprisingly. Not that I thought it was going to be bad, but actually, let me tell you guys a story of how I even got this pack. I literally have been entering in every single giveaway in someone's chat, and I'm not going to say it because I'm a gatekeeper. You know, you're not going to figure out who's doing it. But anyways, I won the giveaway for Cottage Living, and I also won the giveaway for, I think it was life to death or life after death, I don't know, something like that, but it gave me a really nice world and a lot of good build material, so I was happy that I won both of those because free is free, you know what I mean? Also, you're gonna start to see me work on the rest of the home here and some nice trees, and then I start doing a sunroom, which spoiler alert, she does not make it in the build, but I spent so long working on that sunroom, ended up getting rid of it, and it was just a whole thing, but it was a great idea. Besides that though, I started working on the fence afterwards. I had done the whole little deck area, not even deck, mainly just a little step area. And I wanted to make space or room to have the farm, which I wanted it to be under trees, kind of in the mist. It's very hard to see the home, which you'll see later on. I'll add more trees in the back. And now the next thing that I had so much trouble with was stairs. Stairs is another thing it's not necessarily hard for me, but just finding placement in the layout for stairs is so annoying. Like, we can agree on that, right? I can't be the only one who thinks that. But yeah, eventually I did find a good spot for the stairs and just found a good layout afterwards once I do get rid of the sunroom because I did. Anywho, I was still having issues with the stairs, so then I decided to just extend how big the top floor was, which was actually something I ended up doing intentionally because I realized she has to have a bedroom and a bathroom upstairs because I wouldn't be able to fit it downstairs just because of how small it is, which was the goal. I wanted to do a small, cozy cottage, and that was what I went for. And then you can see I started choosing out the floors, which I had seen a picture of this nice kitchen and I was trying so hard to figure out what looked like the floor that was in that picture. And then I ended up finding one that looked exactly like it, and I was so happy because I could really keep up with like the aesthetic and how I wanted it to look exactly. So I was really happy about that. Now you can see that I started struggling with how big I wanted the home to be because it looked really good on the outside, but in the inside it was way too big and there would be nothing I could really do or add that would make it become filled up, even with big tables and everything and cabinets all around. Nothing was working. So I ended up having to make the entire house a bit smaller on the right side. But yeah, after that I did end up figuring it out and getting rid of the sunroom, which I didn't really tell you guys I would be getting rid of that just because it wouldn't end up working with the floor plan and just the structure and the sizes. It just wouldn't work. So then after that I made the kitchen smaller, the door in another area, and I played around with the kitchen for quite a bit before I found something I actually liked, which... Okay, like, why am I adding bookshelves in the kitchen? I didn't get what the point of that was. Anywho, I finally started figuring out the kind of layout I wanted after I made the kitchen a bit more small and cozy, because at the end of the day, it's only one sim right now that's currently going to be living in this home, so I didn't want to make the house super big, because I figured anyways I'd probably build her another house in the future when she actually has a family and everything, just because that would be really fun to do. I don't know if I would do a cottage theme again, but I definitely would love to build that. Actually, I'd probably build her future home when she actually has a family. I would low-key do something with a ranch or a barn because that's also something I never built and I definitely want to challenge myself more. So then I started adding some curtains to the windows, which don't know why those were giving me so many issues, but then I moved on to the lighting afterwards, which you'll see me do in a sec, and I chose these cute little flowers because I have actually never got to use those in a build before just because it never went with the aesthetics, because I'm usually doing modern homes and random flower lights do not exactly go with modern houses. But yeah, I was so happy I got to finally use those. They're actually CC lights, and I could not tell you what pack they were from. I don't know who the creator is either. I just know that I've had it for a long time in my game, and I finally got the chance to use it. And also, if you guys are ever interested in my CC, please let me know in the comments because I would try my best to find whatever you guys are looking for. Because I know it might be a little frustrating if you can't have everything that's in the home, but... yeah, I definitely am a big CC user when it comes to furniture. And yeah, I took quite a while in the living room just because I wanted it to be really, like, I don't know, crowded and stacked up and very cluttered. I kind of wanted it to have something like that because I feel like when Sims 4 homes are really cluttered, it's really cozy. And maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like that makes it a lot more cozy. Anywho, I started to work more. Also, the fireplace is as well from Cottage Living, just because, to be honest, I don't really use CC fireplaces just because every time I do download a living room pack that is CC, they never come with fireplaces. It's always like couches, rugs, or tables, but there's never any fireplace. So most of the fireplaces I use are always either base game or they're one of the packs. And then here you'll see me start to struggle with where I wanted to put the TV, but honestly, I ended up not putting a TV in the living room just because it wouldn't work with the fireplace, and just it was such a squished little area, which was what I was going for in the first place. So I ended up actually adding the TV in the bedroom upstairs. Also, you'll see me placing random furniture pieces in the foyer, like in the main area, just because so I don't have to go looking for it, going crazy like, oh my gosh, where is this item? I can just find it right there. And then sometimes I find things I like that I want to use later in the home, so I end up keeping them around the house. So don't think it's staying there, I'll move it afterwards. Also, please ignore my knee up. I was sitting there for 3 hours and my legs started killing me because I did not think it was going to take that long to build this house, but it did. But yeah, just ignore that. It looks really weird. I honestly don't know why I did that on camera, but just ignore it. Anywho, after that, I started working on the main area, which actually took me a while to do because I couldn't find the certain furniture piece that I was looking for. It literally took me like 5-6 minutes just to find that one piece, and you can literally see me getting frustrated in this clip. Anyways, I'm gonna give you guys a little break from me talking and let you just enjoy some of the music and some of the footage here, and then I'll come back in a couple minutes. So now in this footage you can see me working on the second floor, which was pretty simple for the most part. And one thing I will say that I loved about the second floor was the wallpaper. I felt like the wallpaper was screaming cottagecore. Like, you can't tell me it wasn't. It really does look like a cute little cottage room. And then you'll see me struggling with roofs again, which that roofing was so annoying because you can just see it there peeking in the corner of the room, which was actually getting on my nerves. But yeah, like I said, I'm not good at roofing, so that's why that would end up like that. But the bedroom, I was so happy with. I thought it turned out so cute, especially this area that I'm working on right now. Like that little mirror there and that little bookshelf, it's just so nice. It looks so good. And yeah, you'll see me work on that roof for quite a while. I think it took me like 4 or 5 minutes again to do something like that, just because roofing is not my forte. But yeah, I started adding some cute little clothing because I figured since she's just a little loft upstairs, she wouldn't really have an actual closet because there wouldn't really be room for it. So I figured she'd just hang up all of her clothes on little racks. And then I added this cute desk, which I love. I recently got it. It's like, I think it's called the Desk Nook, and you just can add whatever you want. It does not come with clutter though, which I was kind of disappointed in. I thought that it came with what it showed in the picture, but I looked all at my clutter and I did not find anything new. So that's the only downfall about it, but if you have a lot of CC clutter, then you'll be fine. After I did decorate the rest of the desk, and I did notice it seemed a little bit like it was a teenager's room, but it wasn't that big of a deal to me just because it's only her, so I figured she'd have a lot of time on her hands and have a lot of random hobbies and other things that she would do around her house and have placed in her room. Then I started adding all of the finishing touches like the trash can, some other plants and paintings, just random things to fill up the room more that I felt went with her style. And then I added the TV that I was talking about earlier because, you know, we couldn't fit it in the living room, so we had to put it upstairs. But yeah, you see all the plants. And then I started working on the rest of the outside and adding finishing touches in the inside, which later on there are shelves that I add that I end up not finishing. So if you see that towards the end and it looks plain on the shelves, that is literally why. And then you can see I started doing the chicken coop area, which I am really happy how it turned out. I feel like it really did look like a little mini farm area. And then you have the animal, I think it's called animal pen, but I could be wrong. And then I started doing the rest of the landscape around the house. And then I started adding also more trees, which you saw me do earlier, because I wanted the cottage to look like it was really secluded and you really couldn't find it unless you like really went into the forest to find that. But yeah, I also tried to find as much landscaping that it didn't look old but kind of worn out certain spots of the home, trying to make a lot of dirt around the place. Anywho, I started finishing up more of the chicken coop area and started changing the colors and added some lights because I felt like the lights made it look so cute and like warm. And then I worked on the rest of the paint area and added some plants and just made it look a lot more natural. Well, I'm gonna give you guys another break from me talking, and I will be back in a few minutes for the outro. Okay, so now I started adding all the finishing touches on the outside of the home, like other landscaping or trees that I might have missed, or even putting dirt in areas that I haven't gotten to. And I also added extra lights, which that looked really nice. Like, I like the way that turned out. Like, the string lights at the little swing, I thought was such a cute little ad. I feel like it's very nice, and like if I went here in real life, I would be so happy here. And then you can see that I ended up adding a wall at the kitchen just because I felt like there was too much empty space. So I ended up adding that wall there just to make it feel not necessarily more closed off, but just a little more cozy and kind of separate, like it's its own area. Just because I feel that in a small home, it just works better in The Sims. Also for gameplay, it's a lot nicer. And then here are the shelves I was talking about. I never ended up finishing decorating these shelves. I don't know why. I guess I got sidetracked from something. But yeah, point is those shelves never ended up being finished or got their last minute little clutter. So just keep that in mind when you see the end. Ooh, and also, you see those leaves that I'm adding? Those came at Cottage Living, and you would think that that was from CC or something, but I was actually surprised that that came with the pack on its own. Alright, now we are getting to the end of seeing the finished results of the home. So, this is how the home turned out. Guys, look at this. It is so cute, bro. Like, oh my gosh, it really does look like the aesthetic that I was trying to go for. Like, I feel like this definitely achieved like that reserved cottage, you know? Alright, now time for the inside. Ta-da! Yo, it looks so good. I will say this area is a little bit plain still, but there's not much I could do. So there is the kitchen and the dining room. It all looks so good. And then we have the living room, which again, try to make it cluttered. And then we have her paint area, which I also really like. Like, who wouldn't want to paint out here in this view, in this nice area? And last but not least, the second floor. So we have her nice, cute little bedroom. And then we have the bathroom, which I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't think the wallpaper goes exactly too much with the cottage, but it's not that bad. But this room is so nice. Like, take it in, bro. Like, a moment. Look at this. It's so nice. Like, I would live in here, bro. Anyways, guys, I really hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye! Music in my veins.